Hey everyone, my name is Dante and welcome back to Story Hub, your hub for the best stories on Reddit. Before we get into today's story, this week's giveaway is for these brand new headphones. To enter, just comment and subscribe. Enjoy the video. I was over my boyfriend's apartment this weekend and I was cooking dinner because he was studying for exams. I made pasta and a chunky sauce with meatballs and veggies. I told him dinner was ready and he goes, "What's for dinner tonight?" Butch, with like a lot of emphasis on the last word. I was fed up. I'd had a pretty rough day with work and I have some awfully bad associations with that word being used by other people in my life who were pretty abusive. So I was so irritated that I dropped the pot of pasta sauce I'd been carrying right on the ground and was like, well, nothing's for dinner tonight now. And I better not hear you using that word again. It's for the girls. He was freaking out about how sauce had landed on his rug and he even said, "You're seriously acting like a butch right now." I don't know what else to call it. I just walked out and got takeout for myself and went to my friend's house. She thought it was funny, but my boyfriend was furious. He kept texting and calling and sending me voice memos trying to explain that saying "what's for dinner tonight" BTCH was a TikTok trend, and that he was just quoting something as a joke to put on TikTok. I thought that was the shittiest excuse ever. It doesn't matter if he saw it as a joke or stole the joke, it was still disrespectful. But it didn't change the fact he thought that shot was funny to demean me when I was trying to do him a favor. Like hell, I came over when he was studying to make a home-cooked dinner and he decides it's time for jokes. So I put my phone on Don't Disturb for the night and split a bottle of wine with my friend and her roommate. The next morning he was sending me angry texts demanding I clean his rug because he was too busy with exams to do it. I was shocked he left it overnight. That's disgusting. I texted him back saying, "Yeah, so that's the butch tax, honey. Leave me alone till you're ready to handle your own cooking and cleaning because this butch isn't anymore. Also, it's vile you left that soaking, and all night he called me and told me that he was okay with doing his own household work. But I did throw a full pot of sauce at the ground, so that's on me to clean up." I told him, "Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable doing chores for you if you see me like your butch." He told me he didn't and it was just a trend, and I got pissed off. He was playing that TikTok trend BS excuse again, and I told him, well, I'm starting a trend called saucing, where is a little joke people throw pasta sauce around. You can't be mad because it's just a little trend, a little jokey joke, just a little prank, bro. He got really pissed off and hung up on me, and now I'm seriously wondering if this dumb freaking TikTok joke is gonna be the end of things between us. Am I the idiot for how I reacted when my boyfriend asked me what's for dinner tonight? BTCH edit to address a comment I've gotten a lot and I don't have time to reply to every time. But did you tell him not to call you a butch? Like, how would he know otherwise? Honestly, if someone has gotten to the age of 30 and not realized that women, as a whole, do not like having demeaning slurs used against them, they're beyond my help. This isn't something that needs to be told. I shouldn't have to go through life like, hey man, just in case you were thinking I might like degrading slurs against my gender used on me. I actually don't. And if you were about to comment something like that, let me just tell you in no uncertain terms, not the idiot. I googled the trend, and it is all about seeing how women react to a knowingly offensive comment. And usually, they are offended. These jokes aren't funny. Well, you reacted. He got his wish, effed around and found out. He needs to grow up. Not the idiot. Like seriously, he left sauce on the floor overnight in his apartment for her to clean up. What's he gonna be like if they stay together? Like one day she gets home from work and the baby has sat in its own shot all day and he's like, "Oh, it's your baby. You had him. You changed his diaper." Or, "Oh, you left dishes in the sink after cooking. I'm not cleaning them up. I didn't make the mess." I, 30 female, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do and sometimes even copying me, like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine. And when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So, anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off work to go visit some places out of the country, tourism in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, texted, sent people to talk to me into letting her come, even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say fine. I will tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day of the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area and first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off the harshest way possible. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway and I should let it go and not mess the trip up for us. I told him he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me, then called my family to tell them that the trip was cancelled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy it. Did I really overreact? Not the idiot. I don't want to call the divorce card, but divorce. You told your boundaries, you said no. She crossed it. Your husband told you would tell her no, he lied. He tried to pin you in a corner by not saying anything and bringing her anyways and got upset. You refused to be a part of his little trap, and then to berate you. He's not a good man. He needs to go. Not the idiot. He gave you an ultimatum no loving partner would ever put you in that position. He's a mummy's boy and she's manipulative and toxic. You have every right to enjoy a holiday with your husband without them behaving like children. Really quick, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to drop a like. My job was to design and write software prototypes for individual high-value customers. If they liked it well enough, then a real software engineering team would build the real product. Occasionally, I would run the prototype for a few months while the customer evaluated if they wanted to buy the real project. Now these prototypes are not a lot of code, but they do run with a lot of data. Even compressed, it can be a terabyte or more. Having done this work for years, I've accumulated a small disk farm of past projects, which can be very useful when a customer asks for something just like we did last year, but with a small change or two. The company resisted buying hard drives for this, but it saved me so much time. I ended up buying 1 or 2 a year myself until I accumulated about 10 of them. Figure over $1,000 worth of external drives. Then unexpectedly management changes. New management thinks they can replace the old software guy with a cheaper new software grad and I am laid off, with 2 weeks to train my replacement. Yes, it's blatant age discrimination, but impossible to fight, so I just went for a graceful transition to my next job. Except, I have $1,000 of personal disk drives with old customer data on them. Company insists that no ex-employees may take any company data off premises and all files must be deleted. I don't want to just leave the drives at the company, but they insist I must delete all data before taking them home. So I offer 1. They can buy them from me too. I will eventually use them for something else, but I can leave the data on them in case someone needs it. Not good enough. New manager insists I must delete all data and all backups before I remove the drives. Okay, that's what I do. 6 months later, I got a series of desperate phone calls. New software grad has been unable to build any new prototypes. Old customers are calling to get old prototypes updated. And new software grad has no idea how to do that. The executive VP is calling to ask what it would take to bring me back to do my old job. Sorry, I've got a new job now. And even if I didn't, I cannot just modify the old prototype because you insisted I delete all old copies of it. If I did want to modify it, I'd first have to recreate it from scratch. The code still exists in their source control, but the data is the heart of the prototypes. And that old series of 6 months apart data we collected is gone for good, no matter what. Sorry, you screwed yourselves exactly like I told you would happen. Hope whatever you saved by hiring a new grad to replace an actual experienced programmer was worth it. And I had a similar experience while working as a contractor. I was brought on to work on an open source platform, a Linux-based custom CMS for call center agents at a large firm. 6 months into the contract, they decide we have to integrate with a Microsoft LDAP service. I've never touched the thing before, but I'll give it a try. They give me some scuffed 14 GB VMware hard drive files to boot as the LDAP server instead of an actual integration, and I can't get these things to work. Of course, we have no actual source control or documentation either. I try to talk to the guy who made them and he responds to a total of 2 emails over 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, I get a call that I'm being let go from the contract because it's not a good sign that I can't get the development environment running, never mind that I've single-handedly built 70% of their entire platform. Demoed it to them 3 times along the way. So after the call is over, they send me an email giving me parting instructions, and one of the steps on the list is to delete all files related to my work immediately, and that I have 24 hours to comply. Remember how I said we have no source control? Well, I followed the instructions to the letter. Format the encrypted drive I was keeping the project on. A week later, the project manager calls me up, telling me they have a Git server now and I need to upload my code. I say, what are you talking about? You instructed me under threat of legal repercussions to delete those files last Tuesday. He just kinda sounds flabbergasted at that point. He tries to walk through not paying me out for my last month of work, and I say no, I have that time billed and labeled out for each thing I did. It's not my responsibility to make sure you have the deliverables you explicitly instructed me to delete. I got my check on time and never heard from them again. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe.